Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Umineko no Naku Koro ni Dawn of the Golden Witch. Arc 6 out of 8. We're in it for the long haul. And, yeah. I forgot what I was gonna do and say for my intro. Which is, ridiculous because it's the same thing every time. We'll start off with a content warning. Content warning for Erica, who is a horrible character and does horrible things. I should say horrible person, not horrible character, because she's a great character and you love her. Horrible person who does horrible things. Character deaths, detailed descriptions of gore and body horror, child abuse, discussion and mentions of suicide and misogyny. Now, all of these things are relevant to this arc, and I will be updating these warnings as we go along through the story. Then, on the last episode, Jessica volunteered to take part in the love trial. Now, if you don't know what that's about, I can't even begin to explain. I'm so sorry. Basically, 3 couples. I mean, one of the sets isn't exactly a couple. I guess it depends. Hello, Kat. How are you doing? Welcome, welcome. But yes, 3 sets of people, 3 pairs, if you will, are fighting over who gets to have their love come to fruition. And in order to have this happen for them, they have to kill another person. That's the challenge, the game, the trial that they have to complete, I guess. So last time, Jessica decided, you know what, I'm in. I want to be with Kanon. I'm going to do this. So she walked around the mansion and decided, I'm going to kill the first person I encounter. And then she encounters Kiria. They have a long talk. We learn a lot about Kitty in the process, and about Balor's family background as well, since, she's his stepmom. And a fight ensues. Jessica wins with the power of magic. Interesting. After that, we switch perspectives to Kanon, who has decided to kill Rosa. I don't recall right now if the reason for that was mentioned, but that's his plan. He succeeds, seemingly, ? And then is attacked by we don't know who yet, but that's what we're going to find out. And yeah, you really only missed like 1 minute, so don't worry too much about that. I have not started reading yet, and I'm just gonna start the game and drink some tea. Yeah, I bet you're real excited to find out who exactly the other person here is. I believe your theory was that it's Rosa who didn't die, which is very likely. Yeah, I'm gonna try to, keep the momentum going from now on. No more long breaks, if I can help it. Gonna do my very, very best. I'm gonna need more tea before I start reading, holy shit. See, this is why I didn't stream on Monday, even though I ended up guesting on Fleece's stream for a bit, which was a lot of fun. But yeah, I destroyed my voice over the weekend simply by talking. A little too much. So, oops. But I should be okay now. Alright. Ooh, good music to start with. Good stuff, good stuff. Yeah, I'm both like learning to not destroy my voice anymore and be more relaxed when I talk. And I'm also like trying not to overdo it so I don't end up wrecking my voice again. So it's a tough balance, but we'll see how that goes. That's all I can say. I know I always sound relaxed, but my voice itself is like my entire throat is tense when I talk, whenever I talk. But I'm trying to like unlearn that right now. Like doing exercises, being more conscious about how I sit and how I vocalize, I guess. It's a work in progress. Work in progress. Alright. Let's see who's on the other side of the phone is what I was about to say, but there's no phone call here. I don't know what that is, Cat, but please tell me more. Oh, no. Oh no. I just talked about how talking is difficult and hurts sometimes, and then Maria comes along. Why would you do this to me? It's been so long since I've had to voice her. How could you kill Mama? How could you kill Mama? Ah! One of the two great witches of Mariage Sorcière, Maria. Though she was just an apprentice, the power sleeping within her had impressed even Beatrice at the height of her strength. In Maria's eyes, although Rosa was the Black Witch, she was also the vessel of the mother she couldn't help but love. Her anger at having that stolen from her was near madness. How could you do that to Mama? To Mama! To Mama! To Mama! Yeah. Maria's attack was too emotional. Because of this, she didn't notice that Kanon had already disappeared in the span of a few short moments, and she released her barrage at what had become empty space. Oh yeah, we talked about that before, Kat. And that's one of them, yeah. In the meantime, Kanon jumped from wall to wall, around to Maria's back. Huh? I don't want to kill past my quota, but I will defend myself. What are you? It's the boy. What are you? Diplomatic community. I won't let you target Maria or me. Damn. The red trailing sword that extended from Kanon's hand dissipated in an instant. He managed to make it reappear, but when he tried to use it on Maria and Sakutaro again, it vanished once more. Because of Sakutaro's power, he was unable to make either of them the target of his attacks. Oh shit. There you are. Since when have you been there? Ooh. I won't let anyone bully Maria. The way Maria scares me sometimes, which is the point, but she scares me sometimes. Damn it. Maria finally noticed where Kanon was. and she slowly turned around. Kanon made his sword materialize yet again. But no matter how often he tried, it kept fading out, like a flashlight with a bad battery.
I won't let you get away now. I won't forgive you for the sin of stealing Mama away. I'll kill you. Just like Mama killed them, I'll kill you without mercy.
As Maria howled, the entire parlor was surrounded by a cube of red magic barriers. It was a locked room, symbolizing a barrier that Kanon could never escape.
Damn it. Not here.
Kanon cursed his bad luck. Even though he had fulfilled his goal in the demon's trial, if he was killed here, he'd be dragged off of the game board. Yeah, I think that's what she's talking about too. When Rosa destroyed the bunnies.
Maria, don't overdo it. Yeah, I won't overdo it. I'll be a little more gentle than Mama was. Huh? Who is it? Pardon me, Maria-sama. In accordance with the contract with Zepar-sama and Bufur-sama, I come for your life. Shannon, don't get in my way. It's pointless, Shannon. No one can target Maria. Yes. I don't intend to target her in any way. I will simply protect myself.
A cylindrical red barrier surrounded Shannon as she stood in the center of the parlor. Oh no, I know. I think I remember how this went. Okay, sorry. That's spoilers, I'll try not to. Its brightness and thickness grew, and its radius quickly expanded, filling up the room. It wasn't targeting Maria. Shannon was wielding this power to protect herself. So, Sakutaro's power didn't make it disappear.
Neso. Are you going to let this be the ruin of your feelings for Milady? Get a hold of yourself.
By now, the shield with Shanna at the center had covered up the entire room. Its power crushed Maria and Sakutaro into the corner of the room. Ironically, it was the locked room barrier Maria had set up to prevent Kanon from escaping that they were pressed against, and the two together had them completely trapped.
No good. Can't escape. That's right. This is a locked room. This might be just perfect for that wannabe detective who's trying to deny Beata's magic. Checkmate, Maria-sama. May I? Yeah, go ahead. Crush me. Then, goodbye.
The entire room was filled with the red light of the shield. and the output and pressure were raised to their limit. Then, crushed between the shield and their own locked room barrier, Maria and Sakutaro lost their forms, scattered into a spray of gold, and disappeared. That was a lot less graphic than I remember it being. So that's a plus, I guess. In my memory, it was 9-year-old child gets horrifically crushed into a wall. But also I'll take what I can get in this case. Okay. Yeah. Like the Ronove and Jessica battle. Minus the bit where, if you attack, it attacks back, but more like literal getting squished. Blah. Thank you. That's not what Connell sounds like. Thank you. I couldn't afford to disappear here.
If you lost in a place like this, you'd never be able to let it go.
You're right. I could never let it go if I lost in a place like this.
Zepar-sama.
Furfu-sama. Furfur? I can't remember how... Demon names, y'all. Demon names.
We have both finished our trial. Is that satisfactory?
Well, that was truly splendid. A faultless performance from the both of you. Then, shall we finish with Beatrice's turn? Oh, where did she go? To the victim she has chosen, of course. Come, let us go there as well. I actually really love voicing them. They're so much fun. There have been hints already this episode, by the way, so if you're keeping track, good. I almost said cheers. I don't know what that means. It's because I'm holding a teacup and I lifted it like as if you could see that right now, but you can't. But yes, keep thinking. Because, oh wow, there are... there you go, cheers. There are so many hints flying around this entire arc. So many. Natsuhi could be seen in her room. Kraus had instructed her to retire for the night. But she couldn't afford to lie around sleeping on an important day like this. However, she was aware that she was the type to get excited easily, and that this sometimes held her husband back. So, though she didn't like it one bit, there was no way around it. It was probably close to the time for the break to end, and the family conference to begin once again in the dining hall. Her husband would have to protect the Ushinomiya family honor from his greedy siblings, all by himself. If she grew emotional by his side, she would just tie him down. Though she knew that quietly waiting here was the best way she could support him, that didn't make the waiting any easier. Natsuhi opened a drawer and took out the small box she kept her treasures in. This was her secret box. Inside was everything from valuable items to mere odds and ends. However, they were all precious, memorable treasures in Natsuhi's eyes. She pulled a small pouch out of the box. She emptied its contents onto her palm. It was a kind of charm that her birth family had given her when she had married. It was a spirit mirror to ward off evil. Her face was reflected in the mirror. She wasn't as young as she once was. Recently, she had begun to see a bit of her parents and grandparents in her own face. So when she stared at her reflection in the mirror like this, she felt as though her soul had returned to the side of her parents and the family she had been born into. Father, Mother, I cannot support my husband, and I have only myself to blame. Of course, her face in the mirror did not answer. However, Natsuhi continued. I am waiting here alone because I love my husband. However, I think love means being close to one another. Though I understand logically that staying here is the best way I can help him, I still feel wretched for doing it. It's tough, isn't it? Waiting for the sake of love. A tear plopped onto the mirror. Old, dear memories of her life at her parents' house rose up inside her. Now was the time for her to follow her parents' example. When her father came home late, her mother would always sit up straight waiting for him, prepared for him to arrive at any moment. She would always wait for him, kneeling in the entrance hall. And no matter how late he came home, she would always wake up all her children and line them up to greet him. At the time, I only thought of her as being exceptionally strict. But at this age, I finally understand how strong she was, persevering in her love for her beloved husband even after being left alone in charge of the house. Sure, Natsuhi, what? Sure. Okay. Okay. Because of your love for your husband, you couldn't bear to be made to care for an unfamiliar child. Huh? The sudden voice made Natsuhi jump up and look about the room. When she did, there stood a Western lady wrapped in an extravagant dress. Who are you? Natsuhi was confused. There was no one like this in this mansion. However, though this was supposedly her first time meeting this person, it felt as though she had seen her somewhere before. Her anger at the ruffian who had snuck into her private room, and her confusion over the appearance of someone she didn't know caused her mind to go blank. So much so that it took quite a bit of time before she realized that this was the witch of the portrait. Though you murdered a baby you didn't know on that day 19 years ago, I won't hold that sin against you. What are you talking about? Beato had chosen Natsuhi as her sacrifice. It was because of what Natsuhi had done to Battler. Beato didn't know much about the details of Battler's birth. However, after discovering the fragment of the previous game, she had learned that there was a chance that Battler was the baby that Natsuhi had pushed off a cliff 19 years ago. Although that was just a blue wedge that Battler had used to protect Natsuhi from being framed, Beato thought it might have been a confession from Battler himself. And if that was the case, to her, Natsuhi was an enemy who probably forced Battler to live a painful life. It was out of love for your husband that you killed that baby who lacked his blood, and it's out of love that I won't hold it against you. I don't have a clue what you're talking about. Get out! This is my room. Therefore, when I kill you for the sake of my love, please don't hold that against me either. Beato slowly stuck out her arms, and with both hands, she squeezed the air in front of her. That squeeze tightened around Natsuhi's throat. Natsuhi's heels lifted off the ground, and a faint, purple hand shape appeared around her throat. Natsuhi frantically scratched at her throat, trying to stop whatever was strangling her, but there was nothing there. So, to an outsider, it just looked as though Natsuhi was standing on her toes in anguish, scratching at her own throat.
Both pairs of lovers have shown their determination. I don't think that my feelings for Battle-Son are inferior to theirs. Just as I won't blame you for your sin of 19 years ago, I won't blame myself for this thing.
Sin with an S. As Natsuhi twisted in agony, something she had been grasping fell from her grip. It rolled over to Beato, who dropped her gaze to see what it was. It was Natsuhi's spirit mirror. When Beato peered into it, there was a loud crack, like a burst of electricity. That sound released Natsuhi from the invisible hands and made Beato topple backwards like a doll. What? Coughing, Natsuhi tried to comprehend what was going on around her. Beato, whose head was still reeling and foggy as though she had hit it against something hard, slowly attempted to get to her feet. Her eyes were bewildered, as though even she didn't really understand what had happened.
What? What is this?
That is surprising. You could touch spiderwebs without trouble, but you cannot handle the spirit mirror?
Even I don't have a clue what's happening. What in the world?
She thought that only Beato the Elder possessed non-human weak points, such as getting burned by spiderwebs and wards and having her powers sealed by spirit mirrors. However, for some reason, this spirit mirror alone could apparently affect her as well. Even she couldn't understand what about the spirit mirror could have such an overpowering effect on her. But Natsuhi was different. She instantly realized that the reason for the hesitation of this unearthly being, this witch of the portrait, had to be the power of the mirror. So, she rapidly crawled across the floor and picked up the mirror. Then, she stuck it out so that Beato could see it. Beato still didn't fully understand what was happening. So, still sitting down, she looked vacantly at it. And this time, both of them understood the situation completely. Beato realized that the mirror was working some hateful power against her, and Natsuhi realized that the spirit mirror had the power to repel witches.
Why is the mirror? It is because you are an evil witch. This miraculous spirit mirror repels all creatures of evil. Don't point it at me.
With the spirit mirror still held out, Natsuhi cautiously closed the gap between them. She was cautious so as to prevent the witch from suddenly lashing out and stealing the mirror, but she steadily moved forward to corner this evil.
I do not know who you are. All I know is that you tried to kill me, and that you are a creature of evil who cowers before this spirit mirror. Begone, evil one!
Beato didn't understand what was happening herself. She didn't know why she had to fear the spirit mirror. However, when she tried to look at the bright light let off by the spirit mirror, it pierced her eyes. She understood that she had to be afraid, even if she didn't understand why. By now, Beato realized that this spirit mirror was both terrifying and harmful. As it came closer to her, she felt an increasingly strong burning sensation over her whole body, as though someone was approaching her with a hot iron. She couldn't even open her eyes because of the mirror's bright, painful glint. Now, return to the world whence you came, wicked one. I, Ushinomiya Natsuhi, will not falter back a single step to evil. It's no use. Why? Why is this musty mirror so... If I lose here, I'll be the only one to fail this trial. Just like George-san, Shannon-san, and Jessica-san and Kanon-san. I want Battler-san to see value in me and treasure me. I've finally managed to admit that, so I can't fail now. Are you giving up? You and only you. Believe. The miracle of love will surely occur. I love Battler-san. I want him to notice me, and I want him to recognize and accept my feelings. My reason for calling him father as I dedicated myself to him was that no one helps a parent expecting something in return. And that helped me come to terms with getting nothing back. It was a deception to fool myself with. I love Battler-san, and I wanted to recognize that. I admit it. I won't hide from it any longer. I was born to love Battler-san, and to have him love me back. So, I can't afford to lose here. Be gone, wicked one! There is no place for you here. Her determination had come too late. If she had possessed it since the beginning, she would probably have finished off Natsuhi on the spot without any hesitation. Because she had wavered, it had taken time to kill Natsuhi, and things had ended up like this. But now, I am resolved. I want to love Battler-san. I want him to love me. So I can't lose here. Because I was born for Battler-san's sake. Yes, that is exactly what we wanted to hear. This is one of my favorite songs. Following a sound like a beetle banging off all the walls in the room, the spirit mirror was knocked out of Natsuhi's outstretched hand. It fell onto the floor, and the stake flying around the room pierced through it with a crash.
Lucifer the Proud, right here. You dare mock me by having a single old mirror as my first target in so long. Huh? Lucifer, son. Beatrice-sama, you must complete your trial. She'll get away. Someone, help me.
Someone! Now that the spirit mirror she had been relying on had been smashed, and another strange demon had been added to the fold, Natsuhi could do nothing but run for it. However, if Natsuhi made a scene and people gathered, the anti-magic toxin would burn Beato. Now was Beato's last chance. And my last chance to drink my tea before it goes cold. It was actually not my last chance because it's already cold. But that's okay.
Thank you, Lucifer-san. Prepare yourself, Ushiromi and Natsuhi.
Once again, Beato choked the empty air. This time, she wouldn't let her escape. She had to end Natsuhi's pain right away, for her sake if nothing else. But her strength wasn't enough. While scratching at her throat, Natsuhi fought to escape the room, her shaking hand stretched out to the lock on the door. A locked room is one of the definitions that makes a witch. Even unlocking the door would strengthen the anti-magic toxin a little. Since Beato was at her limit even within the locked room, if Natsuhi undid that lock, Beato's power would weaken immediately, and Natsuhi would surely escape into the hallway. Their strengths were matched. However, Natsuhi's began to surpass Beato's slightly. The power of the living to live is fundamentally stronger than the power of magic. Of course, Beato was mustering all her might. However, Natsuhi was just slightly stronger. That's enough. Lucifer, do it.
As you wish.
Lucifer transformed into a stake, and, like the time she had smashed Natsuhi's spirit mirror, flew violently around the room. Then, she struck Natsuhi's forehead. Natsuhi crumpled slowly. When Beato saw this, she also fell to her knees, breathing hard. Say, Zepar, does this count? Beatrice didn't complete the trial by her own strength alone. You raise a good point, Furfur. True, this trial must be accomplished without borrowing the help of any other. But maybe there are exceptions to that. After all, a pair in love are as one. This is not outside assistance.
Balor-san.
Did you really have to scare me like that on the first Twilight?
Forgive me. I didn't follow your instructions.
Instructions?
Well, I didn't stay in my room.
Beato hung her head apologetically. When he saw this, Battler scratched his head uncomfortably. In that case, I should apologize too. I should have been more kind.
No. Father, I mean, Balor-san, you did nothing wrong.
It's okay. Call me whatever you like.
Huh?
Battler had always looked at the new Beatrice sternly. However, that was gone from his expression now. True, the old you may have called me just Battler. At first, I might have tried to force you to speak to me that way. But forcing that on you is pointless. You are Beato, but you're yourself. You can call me whatever you want.
Balor-san.
Sure, that works great. I can't say being called father is really my thing. Yes. Until this point, she had hesitated just to say Balor's name at all. Even if she had known that Balor wanted her to say his name without honorifics, that would have been beyond her right now. And even if she had been able to call him that, doing so could have hurt Balor even more. However, now she was allowed to call Balor by his name. If she just looked into her eyes, there would be no need to describe just how happy this made her feel. I heard from Zepar and Furfur. It looks like you're in the middle of some bizarre game. Yes. I'm sorry for doing this without asking. No, it's fine. I never did know what you were going to do next. Getting into antics like this is really like you. And, well, I've heard about the intent of the game. Apparently, you're supposed to tackle it as a pair. Yes, that is correct, Lord Battler. If you can emerge from our trial victorious, we will bless the pair of you and bestow a miracle of magic upon you. It looks like these guys were the ones giving power to Beato's golden butterfly brooch. So they're proven to produce results. We've been stuck with each other for a long time now. Nothing wrong with playing this sort of a game every now and then. Balor-san. Oh, did you hear that, Furfur? It looks like Lord Balor is joining in as well. That's no surprise. After all, we've known since the beginning. Welcome to our trial, Lord Balor. And who will your sacrifice be? My work is already done. Go and check if you want. Very well, Lord Balor. Come, Furfur, let us go check. Yes, let's. But, Zepar, this means that all 6 lovers have completed their trial. What should we do next? The resolve of all 6 is the real deal. Let us test them further in the next trial. The 2 noisy demons disappeared. It seemed that they had left to go check on the sacrifice Balor had killed. But it also seemed that they had done so in order not to bother Balor and Beato, who could finally look each other in the eye and talk. Oh. What do you think of the tale so far? When suddenly asked this question, Anja immediately came to her senses. Then, realizing that she had become immersed in this woman's tale, she felt a bit defeated and tried to look displeased. You've cleverly tried to mix things up with all this about the love trial, but exactly 6 people have died, setting up the first Twilight. Impressive. Oh, you're right. I didn't realize. Amakusa clapped his hands as though he'd been outsmarted. Even though he'd figured it out before me, he played the fool. Amakusa's a weird one. That's simply because the number of lovers just happened to be 6. The fact that it matched to the number of the first Twilight was half coincidence, half design. It's a bit more interesting that way. Feels more like fate. Humans have the bad habit of taking 2 meaningless phenomena and trying to link them together. Trying to make things seem like fate is a trick of books. I guess you aren't a fan of destiny and miracles, Missy. Missy? Did he always call her that, or is that the new translation? I can't remember. We'll go with Missy, it's fine.
They're like UFOs. Everyone knows about them, but no one has ever seen them.
There's a cool metaphor.
So, normally, I would move right along at this point. My only comment being that love and illusions are unnecessary, useless scenes for a mystery story. But Okonogi-san disagreed with that way of thinking. He thought that by looking at things without love that way, the truth could never be reached.
Ah, you mean President Okonogi's killer phrase, "Without love, it cannot be seen."
Yeah, that. If I were to set aside the anger I feel towards this fictional murder of my family, and speak with respect for you as the one who wrote this tale, I'd say there must be a point to this deception. After all, you've used up all these pages talking about love and trials. In other words, those are the themes and keywords of this tale. Oh, and there are many who claim that all words not written in red ink are not worth reading. It is an honor, child of man, that you have read the black letters as well. Stories are written because the writer has something they want to communicate. And some writers feel that it's unrefined to lay everything out too directly. All of this about how you'll never reach the truth without love has shown up many times in the work before this one. This new work makes that even more striking. It means that that is the one thing the writer wanted to tell the most, the thing that they want the reader to think about the most. Thinking about it, there have been many scenes about love since Beato first appeared. Even when she first appeared before Shannon, she spoke clearly about how love was the single element of this world. And the golden butterfly brooch she gave her was also an item for love. She said that she enjoyed sowing the seeds of love and watching complications arise. And when Shannon stopped borrowing her power, the reason for her argument was also love. After Beato's interactions with battlers started up in full, scenes about love were toned down for a while. But the "without love it cannot be seen" definition of magic was mentioned repeatedly. Then, in the tale right before this one, where Beato had become like a doll, the scenes shown made it seem almost as though Valor and Beato accepted each other as adversaries, or possibly something more. In the end, Battler regained some kind of memory, and his impression of Beato underwent a complete change. And then there's this game. From the beginning and throughout, the word love has been repeated over and over again. The tale you wrote keeps talking about love. However, that's not the assertion of Maria Onei-chan or Beatrice. It's the assertion of Hachijo Toya. Correct. That is what I wanted to tell. And it is my own sort of answer.
Answer? You're saying that the entire incident of 12 years ago was caused by a trial of love started by strange demons?
Ridiculous. I didn't come here to read a romance novel you wrote. What I want to know about is the truth you claim to have reached. Foolish child of man. I have exhausted so many words, and yet you still do not understand. With an obviously condescending gaze, Hachijo shrugged. It was clear that she was trying to provoke Anje. She was probably hinting, if you can't stand talking with me, you can get out. Perhaps even, if you're going to read my noble work and fail to understand it, what's more, not even try,
you can get out for that reason as well. Under normal circumstances, Anja would already have thrown a fit and left. However, Anja couldn't do that. Though she found it sickening that a stranger was playing around with her family's fate in these stories. After reading this far through her tale, she was growing increasingly certain of something else. Just as Hachijo's followers said, this tale really did have the same presence, the same scent, as the tales written by Beatrice. The same vibe, if you will. The author was certainly different. However, the tale had the same scent, because its author had arrived at the real truth. Anja was beginning to acknowledge this. Hachijo Toya was one who had reached Beatrice's truth. An endless witch like Beatrice, who could add to the endlessly stretching parallel worlds of the cat box. If one has reached Beatrice's truth, they can create a new tale, whoever they are. With this new manuscript, I'm sure some other than myself will appear and reach the truth. Those people will be qualified to create new tales of their own. So there will be more and more endless witches. Yes. And these many endless witches will add to Beatrice's catbox tale. The more they add to it, the more people will reach the truth. When that happens, the very first endless witch, Beatrice, will finally be rewarded for writing such long letters, packing them in bottles, and throwing them into the sea. You could have yelled at me angrily and risen from your seat. However, you did not. Why? I hate to admit it, but I'm starting to think that your tale has some kind of truth or hint within it. I already have my own ideas. However, that's no more than looking with a single eye. That's rude, Anja. Some people only have one eye. Like me. Wait, that's the wrong button. I wanted this one. Like me. That's why I have the eye patch. That I've been forgetting about for many, many episodes now. Teehee. Also, I'm just gonna drink some water real quick. Yeah, the scary face was an accident, I'm sorry. I should have just gestured, because I have like hand gestures to toggle these. Oh. Okay, I should not have gestured, because that would have also triggered the... I mixed them up. Oops. It was the okay sign, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. There we go. Yeah, it's... It's supposed to also work, but, you know, if you mix everything up, then it doesn't really matter anymore which you use, because it's always gonna be wrong. Oh, well. Okay. Unless I accept a different viewpoint from my own, and look at things from more than one angle, I'll never be able to see the truth in 3 dimensions. Again, that's very rude. Some of us only see in 2 dimensions. Yeah, you're right. We can do with a bit more chaos occasionally. Plus, I never get to use a scary face, so, you know, I may as well throw it in there occasionally, keep everyone on their toes. Let me just redo that line, because I think it's important. Unless I accept a different viewpoint from my own, and look at things from more than one angle, I'll never be able to see the truth in 3 dimensions. That is my interpretation of without love, it cannot be seen. That is as it should be, child of man. Perhaps, as the last surviving member of the Ushiromiya family, it was fated that you would find the truth and become an endless witch. I exist only as a guidepost to awaken you as the true successor. Unje Beatrice. Sometimes I have no idea what she's saying, but I'm positive she knows something. And maybe she actually has reached the truth, as she claims. To summarize, I couldn't understand the truth from just the 2 message bottles Beatrice left behind. And since then, I've been reading tale after tale of hints. Then, these hints are challenges, provoking me to think. Precisely. Perfect. I'll find this truth you say you've reached. I was meant to visit this place after all. You were indeed. It is because you are yet to arrive there that I invited you here, child of man. Let the truth I see and the truth you see overlap. Just as you see things with a single eye, so do I. And now that I've found you, for the first time, I too will be able to see the truth with both eyes. She does look a little bit like Rosa. Maybe she shops at Rosa's store. What is this noise? What does this mean?
So, the first Twilight has finally happened. Everything so far has made me so sleepy.
You have some sleep in your eye.
Huh? Well, there... That was immature.
As you wish. Let's get started. We'll begin with the first Twilight. Ooh. End of chapter. Yeah, that was definitely exasperation, but I didn't realize that until I saw the rest of the sentence. It could also be a yawn, actually. I haven't mentioned this recently, but there is voice acting in this game by the same voice actors who were in the anime. All top tier, very good actors, genuinely. Like, they really know what they're doing. So, instead you get amateur hour with me. But I'm doing my best, so there's that. If you want to hear the original voice acting, you'll just have to buy the game. Because it's amazing, you should totally get it. You'll love it, I'm sure. That sounded sarcastic potentially, but I meant it. Yeah. At some point I want to replay this without all of you watching along, and then I'm gonna put the voice acting on, because I've never actually heard all of it. I've never played through it with the voice acting. Because when I bought these games, that was before the versions with voice acting came out. So I've never heard all of it. But I would love to. Thank you, I really appreciate that, Kat. It's very nice of you to say. I'm just, getting the vocal cords ready again. But yeah, if we had the voice acting on for this playthrough, then we would know exactly what that was intended to be. A yawn, exasperation, a random noise. Mystery solved, but now we'll never know. Anyway. Erica just being Erica, yeah, true. Speaking of, Erica was dozing off on the bed, so when a knock sounded on the door, it took some time before she noticed. She looked at the clock and saw that not much time had passed since she had laid down.
Yes, who is it? I hope you have a good reason for knocking on the detective's door at an hour like this. That's right. I have one thing to say before we begin this game.
Oh, that detective proclamation thing? Knock yourself out.
No, just the opposite. I say we raise the stakes.
Raise the stakes? The 7 ones of Purgatory? Oh my god. I'm sorry, Lambda, I love you, but every time you show up I just react with disgust, knowing that I'm gonna have to remember what you sound like. And then do that voice. Yes, it's time to raise the 7 stakes of Purgatory. Oh boy. Okay. Excuse me.
What's this? Now that sounds interesting. What do you mean?
It's simple. Balor got a shot off at us in the last game. So, if Erica does the same in this game, we're only even. Wasn't the last game a tie? We threw a game we should have won easily. If that isn't a loss, I don't know what is. Right, Erica?
Yes, my master. We were expected to win that game if I hadn't failed so miserably. Oh, I get it. So this time, you'll intentionally fight at a disadvantage by not making a detective proclamation, and win despite that. You're aiming to not only wipe out your loss from the previous game, but to totally flip the score upside down, right?
You intend to challenge the game Balor-san poured his heart and soul into with a foolish handicap like that? That is not only presumptuous, it's quite rude. Sure is. Sounds more like an excuse just in case they lose.
True, you could look at it that way. If they win, it's a great victory. But if they lose, Erica's side is a nice little excuse. Isn't that a bit unsporting?
Don't worry. The bet will be evenly balanced. If Erica can win this game as a human without the detective proclamation, it will be impossible for Balor and the others to pick up the pieces of the witch illusion. But on the other hand, should Erica lose, I'm going to hurl that garbage detective into the depths of oblivion along with the worst possible fragment. See? Balanced, right? The ultimate victory of destroying the witch illusion as a mere human, not a superhuman detective. In exchange for that, she wagers her own destruction. I've gotten tired of the never-ending stream of bland and boring games that you and the former Beato played. So we're raising the stakes and settling it all at once.
Well, that is true. If Balor can sell this game, it will mean that Balor has won Beato's game, and the game will come to an end. In a sense, this is the kind of finale that you can't pass up, right?
I understand your position. Are you fine with that, Erica?
Yes, of course. In order to regain my master's trust in me, which I lost with my previous defeat, I will risk even my own destruction.
Is that of your own will?
What's wrong, Erica? Answer him. Obviously. This is my own will. I will not lose. Even without the detective proclamation,
I still cannot pronounce the word detective for some reason.
I will defeat you, no matter what. Valor-san.
Alright. If that's what you want, I'll accept your challenge.
Thank you very much. I'll make sure you regret it. Come to think about it, when Balor played for the human side, he'd never had anything as convenient as the detective's authority. He was only allowed blue truth and repetition requests.
Exactly. In a way, it was the previous game that was truly unfair. We failed to win despite that, which is why it was no different from a loss. Oh, she's making just the best faces right now. Do what you want. If you feel like making a detective proclamation, just do it whenever you like. I'll consider it to be an option you're keeping available.
Why would I ever need to do that? Against an opponent as weak as you.
Then get started, you two. I'm already starting to get bored.
Leave it to me, my master. I will destroy the witch illusion for you without fail.
She really is a sim for Burn. Holy shit. I mean, Burncastle created her in a way, so it's like... It's more like a slave, really, in a way. George and Jessica had been the ones knocking on Erica's door. They were asking whether Balor and Maria had come to this room. Of course, they hadn't. A good while ago, they went downstairs, saying they wanted to get something to drink. We thought they might have come to your room.
Of course they didn't. Are you sure they didn't go to the mansion?
It is more like admiring your own reflection, yeah. Yike. We called the servant room in the dining hall of the mansion, but no one picked up.
Please stay here, you two. I'm going to go check the mansion.
Hey, it's dangerous to go out this late.
How could a stranger sneak onto this sealed-off island? Stay in that cousin's room of yours. I'll contact you if anything happens. Also, tell the servants in the guest house servant room not to leave the building. Bye.
Wait a second, Erica-san. She's a strange kid. After speaking her mind and not listening to anything else, Erica dashed down the stairs and rushed outside. And hey, maybe she will. It is kind of appropriate here, that Greek legend. Isn't that Narcissus? I feel like that's Narcissus.
first Twilight usually starts in the morning, but it looks like we've got an early fight this time. No crime has occurred in the guest house. So, that means the stage of the tragedy is in the mansion. Though she had an umbrella up, Erica got drenched as she sprinted. She brashly licked the raindrops that dripped down her face. Erica was now at her most energetic. According to her memory of the previous game, the entrance to the mansion would be locked at the same time the family conference started. However, the lock was undone this time. Had someone unlocked it, or had the lock not been set? Or had it not been possible to set the lock? Oh, no point thinking about it now. After all, that might just be a whim of the Game Masters. As soon as she entered the entrance hall, the door to the parlor opened violently. Out of it flew Goda's large body. Ah, good evening, Goda-san. Is something the matter?
Police! Ambulance! That expression really is wonderfully pathetic even. Just fitting for the first one to discover the crime.
Please calm down. How could the police or an ambulance get to an isolated island in the middle of a typhoon? I'm sure the phones are out anyway, so please, calm yourself.
Kraus and Rudolph's yells could be heard from the parlor. Their shaken appearance perfectly signified the arrival of the first Twilight.
Well then, give me the victims, the locations, and a reconstruction of the situation.
Those who left to take a break didn't come back, so the adults went to the parlor. When they did, the door was sealed from the inside, and they couldn't open it. As they would learn later, the hat stand in the parlor had been used to bar the double doors from the inside.
So, you're trying to say that the door was blocked from the inside, and the windows were also locked from the inside?
And that's it. When they went around and looked into the parlor through the window, they saw Rosa lying on the sofa in an unnatural position, with blood pouring from her forehead. They then smashed the glass, entered the parlor, and discovered that Maria was also there, lying by the wall and covered in blood.
I see. I'm sure there was quite an uproar.
And the other crime scenes? The entrance wasn't locked when you came into the mansion, because they had gone out through it to check the parlor from the outside. Since the entrance was locked before the adults went through it, they thought that the other people who had gone missing might be somewhere within the mansion in a similar condition. So they're now searching the entire building.
Are the locations of the dead the same as in that long-winded, putrid delusion of yours that you showed earlier?
They're the same.
Rosa and Maria were in the parlor. As for the others, Natsuhi was in her own room, and Kiria was in Krause's study. Ava was in the rose garden. No, wait. She was moved to the VIP room, wasn't she?
Yes. They discover Ava's body in the VIP room.
That makes 5 victims. That's one short for the first Twilight. Who's the 6th, and where are they?
Crow-sama, the chain on this room is also set. Cut it. The culprit might be hiding in there. Goda, do it. Rudolph and Kraus had brought rifles from Kinzo's prized collection. They yelled at Goda, who was carrying the bolt cutter, to cut the chain. Yeah, who do you think it's gonna be? Throw some guesses out there. Who do you think it is? Because I need to drink some more water, you might have guessed. Wild guess, let me hear it. The old man? Kinzo. Okay. I thought you meant Nunja for a second there. There are... Well, depending on your definition of old, there are a lot of old men in this series. But okay. Anyone over 60. Okay, that's only 2 options then. That's not as varied. Alright, you don't need a reason, I'm just curious what you think. They yelled at Goda, who was carrying the bolt cutter to cut the chain. Victims have been found, one after another, at several locations inside the mansion. The men who had lost their wives searched through the mansion in a rage, looking for the culprit. This was a guest room. It had previously been a room where the relatives would stay, but it hadn't been used much since the construction of the guest house. This forgotten room was locked from the inside by the chain. As soon as the chain was cut, Rudolph pushed Goda aside and flew into the room. Who's in here? Show yourself. There's someone on the bed. Let's get some light, Aniki. Kraus pushed the switch on the wall. The guest room lit up, and the figure lying on the bed came into view. Battler. Damn it. What are you even doing in here? Rudolph crumpled to his knees and fell onto Balor's body. No words could console him as he cried with a mad sorrow. In a single night, he had lost both his wife and his son. During this time, Kraus checked the window locks in the bathroom and searched the closet to find if anyone was hiding in there, but he found no one. Battler. Damn it. How sad. It's hard to believe, but just like the others, this is a locked room. What? Again? Yes. My study where Kiryu-san was. Natsuhi's room. The VIP room with Eva. The parlor with Rosa and her daughter. And now Balor-kun in this guest room. They're all locked rooms. I don't understand. Are we to believe this is suicide? Like hell it is. How could this be suicide? Balor. Oh, there's a surprise.
To think that you yourself would be the 6th person.
It's more interesting to kill yourself off every now and then.
And all of the crime scenes are locked rooms. They're murders that couldn't have been performed without magic. Isn't seeing through that the point of this game? By which I mean, the murders must be possible to commit without magic. After all, if they really could be done only with magic, this wouldn't be a game.
That's an interesting way of thinking about it. Yeah, that is the sort of game we've been playing. This game is fair. The goal is to explain, without magic, the strange crimes that the opposing side claims to have carried out using magic. If that couldn't be done, it wouldn't be a game. In other words, just as Erica said, it has to be possible to perform the murders without magic. To view it from the opposite angle, the witch side has a certain responsibility. They have to make a crime that can be reproduced with tricks and not magic. As long as the human side can't figure out those tricks, the witch side can use all kinds of magic and illusions. In other words, in order to carry out a locked-room murder with magic, it is necessary to create a crime that is possible to carry out by human hands. By now, I understand. I see why, when I ordered the Seven Sisters to kill my classmates back at St. Lucia, they couldn't do what I told them. And I understand the meaning of Mamon's words. Do you mean that magic is only capable of that which you can accomplish by your own hands? At that time, if I had possessed the determination to kill my classmates, no, that's not it. At that time, if I had been capable of killing my classmates, capable of going through with it, then the Seven Sisters of Purgatory would probably have pulled it off for me. They could only accomplish what I could do myself. No, that's not it either. They could take what I had accomplished and turn it into magic. Of course, there were a great number of witnesses in that classroom, so that would probably have been impossible. Maria One-chan would call it being burned by the anti-magic toxin. However, if I had called those classmates out somewhere without witnesses, and carried out murder myself, that would be when the Seven Sisters of Purgatory could carry out a magical murder. Even with magic, witches cannot do things that they cannot accomplish by themselves. They can only use magic to embellish the things that are possible for them. How interesting it is that those who accomplish something without using magic nevertheless speak of magic and call themselves witches. This Erica person has understood that since the beginning. That is why she will never surrender to witches. She is confident that it must be explainable with tricks. The old battler was toyed with so frequently because he did not possess that confidence. Once this rule is seen through, the witch loses any chance of victory. That's why they have to make their opponent surrender before they see the truth of this rule. The longer their match is drawn out, and the more hints are given, the more overwhelming the witch's disadvantage becomes. Once again, my thoughts are spinning in circles. Why did Beato prolong this game until she lost? I think you answered your own question there. Okay, one sec. Okay. Many victims had been found, and the mansion was still wrapped in chaos. Hideyoshi's group seemed to have gone to the guest house, worrying about the safety of the kids there. Kraus and Rudolph were in the hall, talking about what should be done next. During a short gap in this chaos, Erica dashed all about the mansion. She was checking the crime scenes. Normally, with the detective's authority, Erica had the right to openly investigate the crime scenes to her heart's content. However, this time, she hadn't yet invoked that authority. Because of that, and with her being a guest and an outsider, there was little to no chance that she would be allowed to investigate. So, she was forced to quickly check all of the crime scenes now, while she could still run about as she pleased. In the servant room, there had been a clear folder containing a plan of the mansion's interior. Because she had borrowed that, she knew the location of every room in the mansion. Erica efficiently made her way through the mansion, dashing into each crime scene in turn. She's back. Lady Erica, I believe you know, but allow me to warn you just in case.
Yes, what is it?
It is true that you have an incredible photographic memory. When you combine that with the detective's proclamation, it becomes impossible for you to be fooled by anything.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. Since I haven't made the detective proclamation, even my photographic memory could potentially be fooled. Of course, I understand that. Still, that doesn't mean I can afford to go without viewing the crime scenes directly. After all, in the last game, my pride in that regard led me to commit a truly agonizing blunder.
To take an extreme case, no matter how well you examine a person's corpse right now, the possibility will always remain that they were faking their death. It will probably be necessary to give Battler repetition requests to confirm the details of each situation individually.
And I'll need to use the blue truth liberally in order to draw those out of it. I know that. Let's start with the basics. The lack of the detective's authority is no handicap. It simply means that I'm fighting under the same conditions Battler once was.
Yes. This fight is retracing the old days when Battler and Beato fought so fiercely. I have no conveniences such as the detective's authority. I truly do just have to fight the same way the old Battler fought. Thinking of it this way, it may be true that I was in a very blessed, unfair position last game, just as my game master said. Just as my master said even, because the game master is someone else now. It may be difficult without the detective's authority, which also holds my honor as a detective. I cannot pronounce the word detective, I don't know why.
But I won't let that be a handicap.
I know what magic is, and I'm fully aware of how to fight with the red and blue truths.
I know the way to fight in this game many times better than the old Battler did.
I quickly visited the VIP room, Krause's study, and Natsuhi's room on the second floor, as well as the parlor and the guest room on the first floor, this time checking with my own eyes, as I had neglected to do in the last game. First off, all of the scenes were made to look like locked rooms. Probably of special note is the fact that the master keys have no relation to the tricks this time. The locked rooms were all constructed without relying on any elements that could be locked or unlocked from the outside by a master key or something else. The windows were locked from the inside, and the doors were all locked and chained. The master key can get around all the locks on the doors, but the window locks and the chain locks are more trouble than they might appear. I haven't yet used the repetition request to get confirmation that it's impossible to manipulate them from the outside, but I'm sure he'll be able to say it in red. It'd be stupid otherwise.
I understand. Right now, I am a mere human. I can't even properly confirm the deaths of the corpses.
Last time I neglected to check the bodies, I let a massive piece of magic get by me. I won't fail like that again. If I let that happen even once more, I won't be able to face the master I'm so indebted to. And that might have been foreshadowing. Yeah. That's all I can say about that. We have checked all of the crime scenes and finished gathering information. Here is our report.
Go ahead.
First, all of the rooms employ window locks and chain locks to form locked rooms in a way that would be difficult to interfere with from the outside. The only exception is the parlor where Rosa and Maria lay dead.
For your attention, I beg to inform you of the following. Let it be known that the door was barred with a hat stand. It is thought to be substantially the same as a chain lock, in that it can only be set from the inside.
It is probably his goal to construct locked rooms where explanations using master keys are made completely ineffective. The parlor has no chain lock due to its very nature, so it is natural that something else would be used in place of a chain. That, and it's a fun reference to episode 1, where Balor waved the hat stand around as a weapon.
In that case, the interesting question becomes why he didn't choose one of the other rooms that do have a chain lock. There are several other guest rooms besides the one Balor lay dead in, all with similar construction, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
In that case, it would have been more aesthetically pleasing to lock them in there, so that everyone would be inside a room locked by a chain. Yet he did not do that.
This hat stand door bar in the parlor seems very suspicious.
I should probably investigate it thoroughly with repetition requests. Also, regarding the bodies, in the last game, their throats were sliced wide open, to the point that the deaths could be confirmed with certainty, even without the detective's authority. But was there anything like that this time around?
Of course, she had checked all of the corpses in all of the crime scenes this time. However, without the detective's authority, she had no guarantee that she would be able to see through any fake deaths with certainty. The old Balor had also started fighting by doubting whether the victims were truly dead. It was the same for Erica.
For your attention, I beg to inform you of the following. Know that there are no corpses that could have been confirmed dead with certainty by physical means. For your attention, I beg to inform you of the following. We cannot eliminate the possibility that any of these corpses might be a faked death. Well, even if I make a repetition request to confirm their deaths, I doubt Balor will be so quick to answer. Sheesh. I liked Beado's chain of 6 locked rooms better, but these locked rooms are more complete considering that master keys are no help at all. There are 2 general ways of breaking locked rooms that Balor might be after. An illusion of a locked room, or an illusion of a crime. It'll be one of those. I get the first one. That's when something looks like a locked room, but it actually isn't, right? What do you mean by an illusion of a crime? An illusion that makes it seem as though a crime has occurred. In other words, are they really dead? Come on, are you kidding me? If the person inside a locked room is alive, it's no different than if they were just taking a pee. Still, with this locked room, it's pretty hard to think of any other answer. What about the endless possibilities of manipulating the chain lock from the outside? We don't know if there are secret doors, ways to kill from a distance, chances of suicide, or even whether these are complete locked rooms in the first place. I have a behind the scenes view of Balor's game board, so I can tell you this. These are perfect locked rooms. They can only be constructed from the inside, and there's no way to construct, deconstruct, or interfere with them
from the outside.
Can you say that in red?
That'd be a little too rude to Balor, so no.
If you do love me, you must see my words as red truth, right? Then the locked rooms are perfect. In other words, this is an illusion of a crime.
It does seem that way. If so, these locked rooms are all a ruse. I guess the whole Ushiromiya family got so fed up with Erika prattling on about being a detective and not knowing when to shut up, that they all joined together and set up a fake murder to make fun of her or something. Wait, is that the right answer? I'm like a super great detective.
Unfortunately, this isn't a ruse. The victims have been thoroughly killed.
Huh? You're not talking about at midnight on the second day?
No detective proclamation has been made, but she is very accurate when examining corpses. I could almost even give her examinations the red truth.
So what does that mean? That they were definitely dead when Erika examined their corpses?
Yes, that's right. Well and truly.
But you won't say it in red for her, right?
And that poor Erika must have wanted so bad. Well, she isn't even a detective this time around. I won't give her any red.
But then, if that's all true, that's amazing. This time, Balor's really made a perfect locked room murder.
Burn's face. Look at that face. I know what that face means, it's very funny. Oh, perhaps he has.
Will Erika be alright? It looks like an ordinary locked room murder at a glance, but this one is secretly pretty nasty. Won't this be a bit too much for Erika without her detective's authority?
She is a self-proclaimed great detective. I'm sure she'll pull through. If Balor and Beato are defeated by a mere human who isn't even a detective, they'll fall apart in the most exquisite way, don't you think?
And even if Erika loses, we get to play by throwing her into the worst fragment and casting her into the depths of oblivion, right?
Exactly. No matter how the chips fall, it won't be boring for us.
You really don't have one tear to shed or a drop of blood in your veins, do you? Still, wringing that black cat out like a towel and licking up the single drop that comes out is what brings me joy.
Beato's game board did entertain me for quite some time, but we've already wrung everything we can from it. It'll be over with this game. So, if we're going to cap it off properly, we really must let Erika and Balor bet everything in one final face-off.
Boo. I wanted to play this game with you forever. What a shame.
Come now. I've spent plenty of time with you already. Go find me another interesting game board. If you do, I'll play with you again.
You really don't ever let me get bored. Be like this forever, Burncastle. Seeing your face twist with anguish is the one forbidden honey I found for myself.
Lambda Delta had guaranteed that it was a perfect locked room. Burncastle had guaranteed that it was a perfect murder. A perfect locked room murder. The witches hated to be a killjoy, but they wouldn't yet say anything with the red truth. Pursuing that would be the role of Balor and Erika.
Yeah, they look really confident. But then... they were confident last time. And they still basically lost. So, yeah. Oh, thank you for the save reminder. We do a little saving. Yes. Thank you very much. It seems like you had a pretty mad dash around the crime scenes. Satisfied? Is your inspection complete?
Yes, I'm satisfied. So, about a war of red and blue, what are your thoughts? Shall we start right away? Or do it all at the end?
I don't like putting things off.
I think the same goes for you. Then allow me to get started with the locked rooms of the first Twilight. First, I'd like to check. Do you intend to respond to my repetition requests?
That depends on what they are. I have no obligation to respond to all of them, and I won't reveal my reasons when I refuse.
Good. Then, let's start simple and confirm the definition of a locked room. Delano, please read it aloud.
Understood. We request that the following be repeated. Delano unfurled the kind of scroll often depicted in Western fairy tales when an official reads a royal decree, and she read the contents aloud. First, the rooms with the 6 people in them are all locked rooms. Acknowledged. Of course, that's only until Goda and the others severed the chains and destroyed the locked rooms. At a nod from Lenore, Cornelia, who stood behind her, started taking notes. Second, the definition of locked room implies that it is impossible to construct from the outside. Acknowledged.
In other words, no trickery done from the outside can construct a locked room. It isn't permitted for a chain lock to be reset from the outside by a skillfully used wire, for example.
She really is getting smarter. And yeah, Erica still is Delano, which is absolutely an advantage, but I think last arc they kind of discussed that the Nox rules and stuff that she adheres to basically can be kind of a pitfall sometimes too, so maybe it's not so much. It's like she has help, but Battler also has help, like he has other people to, like he has Genji, Kumasawa, the like the meta versions, I guess, of them, like, and he has Beatrice in a way. She seems to be kind of helping him now. So this is, it's sort of even-ish. I don't know. And Delano respects Battler, so I. But yeah, she has some help. Yeah, I think it's more like having a consultant is. That's only fair, right? Anyway, here she is sassing everybody.
I didn't need you to tell me that. Delano, please continue.
Third, the definition of a locked room implies that all forms of interference between the inside and outside of the room are prevented. Acknowledged. However, I won't rule out the kinds of interference that you'd expect from a normal room, such as knocks, voices, and the extension telephone line. Fourth, at the time of the breaking of the locked rooms, none existed within the rooms except the victims. Natsuhi, Eva, Kirie, Rosa, Maria, Battler. Acknowledged. This was to check that the murderer hadn't been hiding inside a locked room. Because if the discoverers departed the scene after becoming aware of the locked room murder, and then the culprit slipped out of the room after that, it would have been possible to construct an illusion of a locked room. Because Battler had acknowledged their statement with the red truth, this possibility that the culprit and the victim had both been inside the locked room at the time of the crime, following which the culprit had hid under the bed and snuck out after the discovery of the crime, had now been eliminated. Fifth, no murder was committed after the breaking of the locked rooms. I decline.
Why? Because the victims really were alive at the point when the locked rooms were destroyed? And the culprits were actually Kraus and the others who crowded in, who committed the murders then and there? In other words, because it was a murder after the locked room was destroyed. Is that the truth behind this?
No, that's not it. The murders will continue to occur, so we can't declare it in red that no murders will happen after this.
A stupid technicality. You must understand what we're getting at. Krause's group cut the chains and destroyed the locked rooms, then killed the people inside. I just want you to argue against this.
Lady Erica, the undefined plurality of Krause's group is insufficient. You should first check to see which humans entered the rooms after the locked rooms were broken. For your attention. Excepting the victims, the only ones to enter the locked rooms were these four: Kraus, Rudolph, Hideyoshi, and Goda. For your attention. This is based on hearsay. Be advised that there is no proof that others did not enter.
I know that already. Let's have him repeat that.
After the breaking of the locked rooms, the only ones to enter the rooms apart from me were these four: Kraus, Rudolph, Hideyoshi, and Goda. Sure. Acknowledged. However, this only applies to the current point in time. It's possible that some later development in the game will cause more people to enter.
Repetition requested. Kraus, Rudolph, Hideyoshi, and Goda are not culprits.
Balor put his finger on his chin, deep in thought. The word culprit was fairly broad, and it might serve to greatly restrict the darkness of the witch. Why not answer? If we decline, they'll leave behind a blue truth saying that Kraus and the others were the culprits. You're right. I'll acknowledge it, but I'll make the language more strict. Kraus, Rudolph, Hideyoshi, and Goda. These four had no involvement in murdering these six: Natsuhi, Eva, Kirie, Rosa, Maria, and Battler.
And that means it was also impossible for any of the other humans who didn't even enter the locked room to have been involved in those murders either, doesn't it?
Who knows? Think about it yourself. If you think you can build up some blue truth for how a locked room murder can be committed without entering the room, then I'll respond with the red truth. However, I only need to destroy one of the blue truths you'll be presenting from here on out. In other words, even if you do manage to use the blue truth and explain this away with some long-distance locked room murder trick X, I don't necessarily have to counter that with the red truth. These are the rules of the Witch's game. Anja checked these details with Beato in the fourth game. The Witch side lays out mystery after mystery and claims them all to be impossible to carry out except by magic. The human side must use the blue truth to argue that they are explainable with tricks. And if they cannot make a counter-argument with the blue truth for even one of these mysteries, that mystery will be considered to have been done by magic. And it will be impossible to deny the existence of a witch. In other words, the witch side only needs to protect any one of its mysteries. In contrast, The human side is to fully explain all mysteries with the blue truth. And even if the human side manages to explain all of the mysteries with the blue truth, if any one of those is successfully countered by the red truth, the witch will win. Therefore, just like the strategy that the old Beato adopted in her final game, it is sufficient for the witch side to put off their red text counter-arguments until the very last moment, then make a single strike at their opponent's most fragile spot.
In any event, you've declined to repeat that last one, right?
Don't kid yourself. You're not entitled to have your repetition requests answered. From the perspective of the witch side, repetition requests are just a supplement to make sure that the human side hasn't misunderstood the question. Therefore, they have neither a technical nor a moral obligation to respond to requests that are extremely broad.
Not bad. Looks like you can handle being a player on the witch side pretty well too.
Your experience is no match for mine.
Delilah,
let us continue.
Sixth,
the victims did not die by any method other than homicide. Acknowledged.
of course, there were no suicides or accidental deaths. Seventh,
the victims...
That's enough, Glenor.
Are you sure? There are still items...
Yes, that will do fine. I have confirmed the status of the crime scenes. From here on, it's time for me to argue back with the blue truth.
Fine by me. Let me hear your masterful theories. Ooh. That face on Erica was good. Very cool. Very badass. Though Battler and Erica were enemies, it looked to Beato as though they were having a little fun doing it. She was probably slightly jealous of Erica. Beato thought back on the book she had read in Fetherine's archives, in which the old her and Battler had fought. That must have been fun as well. During a short break in the family conference, a horrible, brutal mass murder had occurred. Excluding Battler, the 6 people killed had all been women. The men who had been left behind went mad with rage at the cowardice of it, broke down sobbing at the sadness of losing their wives, and went back and forth between the two many times. I forgot Hideyoshi's voice. Wait, no I didn't. Why were they all girls? How cowardly can a person be? What's wrong with us? Here we are, under the same roof, and we're just smoking away, not noticing that members of our own family are being killed. Damn it! But who? How? They were not unprotected. The chain was set for all of them. Who gives a damn about that? I don't care how they killed them, I just want to know who. I did forget Rudolph's voice, though. Yeah. Hey, Genji-san, Gota-san. Were the doors and windows to the mansion all locked during the family conference? Yes. There can be no doubt. In accordance with Madam's instructions, everything is always locked at the time of the night patrol. Tonight was a special case, but everything was locked up shortly after seeing the children off to the guest house. That doesn't make any sense. If that's true, how are Balor and Maria-chan inside the mansion? They shouldn't have been able to get in, right? If everything really was locked up properly, not set up properly, that couldn't have happened. Doesn't the two of them being inside the mansion prove that the building wasn't completely locked up? Right? Right? He was arguing that Goda's failure to lock up properly might have allowed a stranger to sneak in. At the very least, none of them had known that Balor and Maria had visited the mansion. If those two had come and found everything locked tight, they wouldn't have been able to get inside. If they had rung the doorbell, Goda would probably have heard them from the servant room, but Goda said that nothing of the sort had happened. How they had entered the locked mansion was a complete mystery. You don't think... For example, what if Madam or someone happened to be close by the entrance, and noticed Balor-sama and Maria-sama knocking or heard the bell? That couldn't have happened. You were in the servant room then, right, Goda-san? There's a chime that goes off in the servant room when the door opens. There's no way you'd have missed anyone. Yes, but you see... At that time, Goda was serving drinks as you requested, so he was not in the servant room. Why was there only one servant in the mansion on such an important day? Why was someone as important as Genji-san on duty in the guest house? Does that make any sense? Why was the servant room left empty? My wife was the one who put those shifts together. She probably hoped that Goda would serve some fashionable drinks during the family conference as well, since he often thinks to do such things. But Kraus-Nissan, this is the family conference, right? The most important day of the year, right? Why was Goda-san left as the only person on shift in the mansion? If there'd been just one more person, everything would be different, don't you think? Well... With a half-crying, half-enraged, jumbled-up expression, Hideyoshi yelled at Goda. Of course, the culprit who killed everyone was the most to blame and the most despicable. However, even if he understood that, he needed to let off some of his emotions by hating someone he could see.
I understand how distressing this must all be for all of you. However, please calm down. I don't know whether Goda-san wasn't thorough enough when locking up, or whether someone let Battle-san and Maria-san in after they came back from the guest house, and then forgot to lock up afterwards. But, whatever the case, it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with how the mysterious culprit snuck in. After all, the mansion is massive. They might have come in much earlier and hid until late at night for all we know. I can understand the desire to suspect someone, but please calm down.
Our guest is right. The culprit is the one we should hate, not Goda, who just happened to be on duty. At any rate, let's calm down. I feel as terrible as the rest of you. However, we must take the initiative now and regain our composure. Aniki, we all feel sad and devastated, and none of us will ever forgive the one who did this. That is why we all need to regain our composure. He's right. I still have George. Kraus-Nissan still has Jessica-chan. And Rudolph-kun. You still have Anja-chan waiting for you to return, right? It's still too soon to go risking everything to take down the killer.
The culprit is still on this island, and we can't be sure that this tragic crime is over. We need to stay calm and prevent any further tragedies.
Erica's words softly consoled them, and gently admonished them. If a servant had said the same thing, Rudolph would probably have jumped on it. However, since it had come from the lips of a guest, a neutral party, it seemed to reach their ears.
Let's stay cool. We have 3 grown men with us, and guns as well. Judging by the pattern of the murders, the chances that the culprit has a gun are low. In other words, as long as we keep our heads, the culprit will no longer have any way to touch us.
She's right. We can't let that murderer have our way on our island any longer. Let's find the killer. We're in the middle of a typhoon. They can't escape from the island, and there's only so many places where they can take shelter from the rain.
This island is larger than you'd think. Unfortunately, it would be difficult to search the island with so few people. After all, you all look ready to shoot the culprit dead on the spot if you were to find them now. If the culprit has fled into that dense forest fearing for their life, you won't find them easily.
Erica, did you just island-splain these people? She washed up literally this day. And they've, several of them have lived here most of their lives. Or, a good chunk of their lives. Holy shit, girl. Calm down.
Right.
We should just wait patiently for the typhoon to pass. Have the boat call the police for us and let them thoroughly search the island. The police are incredible, you know. They'll bring hundreds of people and pick through it with a fine-toothed comb. That forest may be deep, but they'll definitely smoke the killer out. The most important thing now is to make sure no more of our beloved family members are taken from us. Rudolph, if something happens to you, what will happen to Anja-chan back home? Idiot. Battler. Damn it. Damn it. I never had a chance to tell you the truth.
Krausen, I'm sure that everyone in the cousins' room is extremely agitated right now. If you show them that you've regained your composure, I'm sure that will help them relax a lot. Would you mind heading up there?
Good point. We have to talk with everyone about what we're going to do next.
Please go up with him, Genji-san and Goda-san. I'm sure that Shannon-san, Kanon-san, and Kumasawa-san are all very agitated as well.
Yes. Yes, I'm sure everyone is quite agitated. Are you certain? Is there nothing more we can help with?
That's the very reason I want you to go with Krausen. I want you there to help him if something happens. I'd like for the rest of us to check that everything's locked up here. We'll head up soon, so please go on ahead.
Understood. If you need anything, please call us. Genji bowed and nodded to Kraus. Kraus nodded to Erica, then headed upstairs with Genji and Goda. Okay. When only men are around in a time of confusion, it is easy for a composed member of the opposite sex to control the initiative. I'm not sure that's true, but okay. Especially not if she's 15 goddamn years old. Even without the detective's authority, she was able to control them quite naturally. No, I'm pretty sure that's just because she's an asshole, but okay. Erica had wanted to get rid of the servants for the time being. Okay. In that case, let's get to checking the locks. The problem is the big window in the lounge. It looks like it doesn't even have shutters. If they smash this, we won't be able to stop them from coming in. Don't worry. The sound of the glass smashing will be more than enough warning. We'll turn them to Swiss cheese.
Quiet, please. I didn't have you stay down here to check the doors and windows. Please listen calmly to what I'm about to say.
When Erika lowered her voice, Rudolph and Hideyoshi realized that she had something secret to talk about. So they brought their ears closer as soon as they regained their composure.
Are you ready? This crime happened during a short break in the family conference. In that tiny span of time, 6 people were killed without anyone noticing. I can't imagine that was the result of any haphazard crime. This crime was committed by someone who knew the layout of this mansion well, inside and out.
Well, sure, if they didn't know the inside well, then... But still, Erika knows how big the island is, she counts. Like, that doesn't really say all that much. And that's an interesting question there, Kat, that since Erika doesn't have the detective authority, if she set herself up to be killed off. A short while ago, they had lambasted Goda, suspecting the servants of having made a blunder. However, they had only thought that he had forgotten to lock up, and were attacking him for letting the mysterious culprit sneak in. They hadn't considered that one of the servants they knew so well might have taken those lives with their own hands. No. They hadn't wanted to think that. People can't easily suspect someone they know well of being a killer.
At the time of the crime, the mansion was locked from the inside, and only those involved with the family conference existed there.
So, what, you're saying Aniki killed Kitty and the others? Or am I supposed to suspect Hideyoshi Nisan? It's impossible. Unthinkable.
I've never even considered suspecting Kraus Nisan or Rudolph-kun. All of his siblings were happily married. True, the Ushiromiya family may be strict with discipline and money, but that doesn't mean we treasure our own families less than any other family would. Yes, of course I believe that. I wouldn't dream that any of you would kill your own wives.
Erika had already received red truth proof from Battler that they were not the murderers, so there's no need to argue. There is no need to argue that point. Kraus, Rudolph, Hideyoshi, and Goda. None of those 4 was the killer. And yet, Erika said this.
However, what about Goda-san? He was in the servants' quarters the whole time during the family conference, in a position to act without anyone else's knowledge.
Hold up. Let's not jump the gun on suspecting Goda-san. He came to bring us drinks in the dining hall during the break. He was with us for a good long while. I can't imagine he had the time to kill 6 people. But he might have been able to let the actual killer into the mansion.
Precisely. Goda-san probably didn't kill them himself. However, it's very possible that he secretly welcomed the actual murderer into the mansion.
Rudolph and Hideyoshi, stunned, looked at each other. They were all family. Even the wife of a sibling was still family. The siblings may have harbored hatred for each other, but they could never have hated each other's wives enough to kill them. Although Eva and Rosa were part of the sibling circle of hate, there could be no reason for a sibling to kill any of the others who had died. Natsuhi, Kirie, Balor, or the young Maria. But to a servant like Goda, perhaps everyone was little more than a complete stranger.
I suspect the servants on 2 counts. First, the victims are familiar with them, and there were no signs of a struggle at any of the crime scenes. I'm sure you're all well aware that none of the rooms were the least bit disturbed.
I thought that too. Kitty is used to fighting. Like hell she'd get killed that easily without resisting. That woman wouldn't hesitate to bite your finger off. It does make more sense if the culprit was someone she knew, who suddenly attacked when her guard was down. Come to think of it, the same goes for my Eva. She knows a dozen kinds of martial arts. She spends every day practically wishing wishing for some ruffian to attack her. She wouldn't have been killed off in a snap like that.
Then, what about Rosa-san in the parlor? Do you think she would allow herself to be easily killed by a stranger without resisting while she had her only daughter with her? And this tells us something else that's important.
Something important? There's more than one culprit. You're right. Both Rosa-san and Maria-chan were in the parlor. The culprit must have killed them both at the same time, or they'd have made a hell of a racket. And if they were able to do that, then there can't have been just one of them. When it came to Maria-chan, Rosa was like a quick-to-anger mother bear. She wouldn't cower in fear, not even if someone pointed a gun at her. I see. So it had to have been people who wouldn't rouse Rosa's suspicion until the last second.
I believe you can see already that the idea of an unknown outsider sneaking onto the island is actually the less realistic.
Says the unknown outsider who ended up on the island. But fair point.
Whoever they are, they're familiar with this island. And there's more than one of them.
There's more than one culprit. And they know the island. Erica's reasoning pointed clearly at the ones they should suspect and guard themselves against. So, you suspect the servants?
Yes. Under the current circumstances, they are the most suspicious. The second reason I have for suspecting them is the fact that the locked rooms were formed with chain locks.
Why do the chain locks make them suspicious?
What if there was no chain lock on the locked rooms?
That's not much of a locked room. Anyone could make a room like that with nothing more than a master key. Yeah, I see. The servants had to seal them with a chain so that they wouldn't be suspected.
Exactly. By setting the chain, they don't have to worry about being suspected. To turn it around, if the chains weren't set, they wouldn't be able to avoid suspicion since they hold the master keys.
So, the only ones to get with something to gain from setting the chains are the servants. I'm not trying to protect them or anything, but if so, how did they actually set the chains? Is it possible to set them from the outside?
Considering how they are built, I don't think that would be impossible. Have you ever heard this story? Apparently, some mailmen who deliver to apartment mailboxes are known to carry loops of wire with them.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Apartment mailboxes often have similar adjoining boxes around them for nearby room numbers. I heard that sometimes, when the mailmen aren't being careful enough, they accidentally deliver letters to the next room over.
Those mailboxes are almost always locked. If you put the mail into the wrong one, you'd have no way of getting it out.
In that situation, they are supposed to tell the owner of that mailbox about their mistake. Have that person unlock the mailbox for them, and retrieve the improperly delivered mail. However, the resident of that apartment would often be out, and going through that process would be a real pain. Because of that, some mailmen would make a little tool out of wire with a hook at the end, and use that to fish the mistakenly delivered postcard out through the crack of the mailbox. I've heard something similar from a friend of mine at a building management company. They sometimes get drunks who lock themselves in a toilet stall and fall asleep. So to get them out of there, they stick a thin metal roof through the crack in the door and undo the latch.
Exactly. All industries have little tools that can easily open things that normally can't be opened. It wouldn't be particularly surprising if the servants of a mansion had something of the sort.
Yeah, it's called a master key. But fair point. Good point. like, we already know that this is impossible, right? Because that was said in the red. But literally, what would the point be of the servants having a tool? I guess it unlocks it too, but she's mainly saying, like, it would be a tool to lock it with. Like, that wouldn't necessarily also be able to unlock a master chain, right? Or am I not a master chain, like a door chain? I was reading your comment while I was saying that. I think her angle is entirely play these people out against each other to get information. That seems to be her angle right now. Like, this is all a play. Because she also, you know, put Goda forward as being a suspect, even though she knows that he isn't. But just, like, I don't know. Now I'm just imagining the servants running around, just randomly locking door chains. For no reason. Once you figured out the knack of it, you could probably set the chain from the outside by using a wire as well. Okay, so they are... Okay, I get where they're going. Okay. The argument is that they would have it to unlock stuff, if needed. But now it's being used in the opposite direction. Okay, fair. Yeah, we can't be sure that it's impossible. True, physically speaking, one couldn't say for sure that there existed absolutely no way to set and unset chain locks from the outside. Chain locks allow for the door to be opened a crack. If a person were to stick something through that crack, they should be able to manage it easily. It was very natural for Rudolph and Hideyoshi to think that way. However, Erika knew better. Though it might be possible in reality, it had already been declared with the red truth that these locked rooms could not have been constructed from the outside. In other words, it was impossible to manipulate the chain lock from the outside. And yet, Erika was guiding their thoughts to put them under the illusion that only the servants could have constructed the locked rooms. With an air of solemnly revealing some vital point, she steadily steered the situation in the direction she wanted. Everything about her serious face for the last minutes was an act. No, to put it in her words, it was a detective technique for tricking suspects.
I plan to tell Krausan what I've told you. I'm not saying that all the servants are culprits. However, it is very likely that one of them is a culprit or has been assisting the culprit. We should split them apart and have people with guns keep an eye on them.
Rudolph and Hideyoshi looked at each other again. What she was saying made sense, and it sounded as though she was calmly smoking out the most suspicious people at this point in time. With her accomplished conversation techniques, Erika was skillfully grasping the initiative. Even without the presence of the detective's authority, controlling human nature like this is trivial. Your thoughts, ladies and gentlemen? Well. It's, still a terrible person, faux show. The game's not giving me a chance to make a dramatic cliffhanger this time, but that's fair. This is a good... I'm happy with ending it here. Whew. Wow, went on a little longer than I thought I would be able to today. That's good. I was on a roll earlier. And then after that it got a little, there was some stuttering here and there. Oof. That's okay though. Yeah, I wanted to like not have to ditch mid-scene. It went on a little longer than I anticipated, but that's okay. I don't have to be up all that early, so it's fine. It's good. It's worth it. I'm excited for what's gonna come up. I really, really am. It's gonna be good stuff. Yeah. Okay, well, time for sleep then, I would say. Let me think. That's gonna be it for Umineko for today. I'm always gonna have, as always, I'm gonna have the YouTube video up as soon as possible. I'm a little busy the upcoming days, so I'm gonna aim for the weekend again. But I said that last time and it was Monday in the end. So Monday, we'll go for Monday. Hey, Naname. Thank you for still being here, holy shit. I'll be back with more Umineko next week. And yeah, should be good. I'm very much looking forward to what's coming up. It's gonna be exciting. There's gonna be stuff happening that you're not gonna see coming. Absolutely not gonna see coming. And if you have been following along, this was once again an episode full of clues. Full of clues. If you are trying to like solve the mystery, keep trying. You'll get there. You'll absolutely get there. And if you don't, that's okay too. It's a tough one. But you know, you have the means. You got this, I believe in you. We'll see about that dark side, but yeah. She's definitely becoming, kind of growing into herself a little bit, in a way. I'm sure reading about all the past stories like we have been helped a lot. I know I learned a lot from it when I started reading these for, the first time. And the second time too. Yeah. I think rewatching some of it will absolutely help because you start to see things in a slightly different light, and there's so much foreshadowing. You're not going to pick up on it if you don't know what's going on already necessarily, so. But if you have like a working theory, there's definitely hints here and there that you can compare to what you have cooked up in your brain and then be like, okay, I'm in the right direction, I'm in the wrong direction. There's a lot to work with and play around with. It's great. Anyway, I'm actually going now for realsies. Let me just scooch us over to the end screen. I did save. Yes. Good. Gonna turn off the game. It doesn't wanna go. Okay. Yeah. I'll do the official wrap up in a second. I'm just, Oh, normally I just hit the X button. That's what I'm doing wrong. But I wanted some music. It's gonna be very quiet, because audio balancing is, the worst. Anyway. Yes. Have a lovely evening, all of you. Thank you for being here, whether you're, watching right now, whether in the chat or lurking, or whether you're watching the VOD or the YouTube video. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I hope you're enjoying it. And see you next time. Have a great day. Have a great night, evening. Have a great week. And goodbye. Thank you again.